Abraham Lincoln punching a Tyrannosaurus Rex, the creation of Adam, but God is handing Adam a taco.
A modern podcast where Chris and Mike talk about TV, movies, superheroes, and everything in between. It's time for Superhero Slate.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Superhero Slate, the show where we run down the latest superhero entertainment news.
We love TV, movies, and superheroes, so let's talk it all out.
My name is Chris Dillard.
And my name is Mike Royer.
It's a new year with tons of things to look forward to. We talk some Deadpool movie news, Daredevil Seasons 2 release, Civil War surprises, and what movies we look forward to in 2016, or we don't look forward to on Mike's case because he's a Debbie Downer.
Yeah, that's what we did last year. That's actually how we started off the very first episode of Superhero Slate. Was talking about the movies I wasn't looking forward to that year, and it was a little bit more difficult this year. I feel like I was in more of a somber or judgmental mood last year. So the movies I picked this year, I felt like they had some redeeming qualities, but I was just like, no, I got to keep my cynical hat on. I got to really hate on these movies.
Yeah, well, I think this year we have so many good ones to look forward to for once.
Yeah, that's true.
It kind of overpowers the negativity and stuff that we don't know about. Like, one that's not on our list is they're remaking Jumanji.
Oh my God, I totally forgot about that.
Who asked for that? Nobody. Nobody asked for that.
Exactly. So this podcast, we're actually a little short on the news this week just because our end of the year New Year's episode kind of stole some of the news for this week's episode. But we're going to talk about basically all the important movies to us that are coming out this year, so it kind of works out well in our favor.
It does. And on another fun note, I went to Toys R Us last night.
Okay.
They have these called Marvel Legends figures that you can buy. Have you seen them in the store?
Are they like action figures?
Yeah, they're action figures.
Okay.
And usually you get them like they come out releasing like sets of 6 or 7, and you can build a figure. Like they include like, oh, here's the arms to Odin or something like that, and you have to collect them all to build that other character. Well, they have a special Avengers series that has Phil Coulson, Nick Fury, and Maria Hill, and I got it on sale yesterday, and I'm really excited about that because they it's just those are some characters I really enjoy. I like SHIELD. It's one of my favorite fake organizations, if you will.
So, well, I have a question for you. So you seem to really enjoy collecting lots of items that are three-dimensional. A two-dimensional object like a poster or I guess you could say maybe a comic book is kind of easy to display because typically you can hang them on a wall. But how do you display, or what do you do with like your little toys or action figures? Do they just take up room on your desk? Do you have a dedicated shelf? What happens if you start running out of room on a shelf? Do you build a new shelf?
So right now, since I can't really use the excuse anymore. I've moved in the past 6 months. And where I've moved, we haven't added any shelves because I have really bad luck with those like hanging shelves. So I have like this 3-cube organizer that has a lot of my pop vinyls in it right now.
Yeah.
And this other stuff that I have exists in a collector's box until I can get those shelves I feel comfortable on the wall. And I just don't want to like go buy a $20 hanging floating shelf and then it fall down and destroy everything.
Yeah, exactly.
So right now they live in a 3-cube, but I have a bunch of posters and other stuff on the wall, like you said. They just kind of, the other action figures just kind of hang out a little bit until that point in time.
Yeah. Do you have a contingency plan if you suddenly get a nice collection going and you just start running out of room? Like, are you going to buy another cube?
I have another cube that's full of junk. I'd probably just clear out the junk.
Okay.
It's like empty boxes from like my camera equipment and like I have this like knack to not throw away like boxes that expensive stuff comes in, and I really just need to get over it.
Yeah.
But once I toss those, I'll have a whole nother cube.
Yeah, well, this is like a whole nother thing that we my wife and I started the other day. Was we we brought home a whole bunch of gifts from the holidays back from home, 2,000 miles to the West Coast. And, we're in this 1-bedroom tiny apartment out here in Los Angeles. And like I have all these things I want to display, but I just don't have the room. And I don't want to just go out and buy furniture just to display my stuff. So it's this hassle of just like, it's so easy to buy me gifts for the holidays if you're just buying me like fun little toys because I love them. But then at the same time, I'm just like, where am I going to put this? So I gotta figure out what I'm going to do with all this stuff. I got a really cool, like I'm not a big pop vinyl guy like you are, but I got a little potted plant Groot pop vinyl.
Oh yeah,
and I got some like little Minecraft like little toy things that are kind of cool, and it's just like these things are so cool, but I'm just forced to put them like in a little container and slide it underneath my bed because it's the only place I can store this stuff. But it's going to be an amazing day once we move into a bigger place and I can just display all my glory.
And you're not wrong. I keep my pop vinyls in their boxes. My fiance keeps hers. She unboxes them and has them on the shelf downstairs. But she doesn't have nearly as many as I do.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. But I also bought like 8 trade paperbacks over the weekend for Ultimate X-Men, so I own 1 through 16 now. And I had to like do some reorganizing on my comic books like trades because I didn't have any more room on those shelves that they were at, so I had to take down some I didn't think were in. I didn't have to take them down. I had to put them on a lower shelf that you can't see because of that.
They got relegated to the lower shelf. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, it's okay. I don't really read a lot of those anyway. So
yeah, well, I mean, it's like a whole nother deal too. Like, are you a Lego guy? Do you have Lego sets?
I do not do Legos now.
Oh man, Legos is this whole other thing. Just because if anybody follows me on Instagram, I just completed the new version of the Millennium Falcon. And that thing's massive. This is the biggest Lego set I've ever put together. It took me hours because like basically the instructions of building this Lego set are separated into bags. Like you open up bag number 1, you build that bag, and then eventually there was like 9 bags, and then bag 8 had like 2 bags associated with it. So like I basically separated this out into sections throughout the day. It took me literally all day to build it, but then I got it all done, and it's really, really awesome and really cool. But like, even if I had the room to display the Millennium Falcon in all of its glory, because it has all these really cool moving parts and hinges, and it's really cool, and it actually comes with like all of the characters. It comes with Han and Chewie and Rey and Finn and BB-8 and the 2 random bad guy smugglers that were also like in the raid. The Kanji Club.
The Kanji Club.
Yeah. So it comes with all these cool characters. I'm like, man, I just want to like, if I could display it, it would be kind of cool. But then like, that's just not who I am down in my core of a Lego guy. Like I've been like a Lego fiend since I was a little kid, and I love them. And for me, I have a very, very strong opinion that they're not model kits. If you have Legos, build them, enjoy building them, and keep them around for like a couple weeks, maybe a month or 2 at most. But like Lego sets are meant to be disassembled, added to your collection so you can build new stuff with them. So if anybody out there has Legos, like I'm the kid in the Lego movie, I'm not the dad with the super glue. You gotta disassemble those things and have fun with them.
Yeah, I want to see this. You should document this disassembling process because I know that kit is intense.
Yeah, well, I made a little Instagram like flip video, whatever it's called, of me building it. So I guess just watch it backwards.
Yeah. Well, that's a little organized. I hope for more disorganization when you go to dismantle.
I'll just throw it against the wall. It's okay.
Yeah, it crashed. What can I say? But,
I mean, it's pretty solid. I mean, like. These more bigger kits, like they have to really hone in the structural integrity. Like I think this thing could take a beating against the wall.
That's a risk I'm willing to watch you do. So, which is great because it brings us into our first news point: Star Wars: The Force Awakens.
Man, this movie is still a beast, and it's now 2016. So what does that mean, Chris?
That means our spoiler curtain has been lifted.
That's right,
as you would say. So it has been over 2 weeks since the movie released. Anything that we go from here on out will be about the movie in full details.
Yeah, we're not going to give out spoiler warnings anymore, basically.
Yes. So this is your warning. If you do not want to hear anything about Star Wars, go to the next topic with our time codes, which we put in every show, so you'll know where they are.
Yeah, I would imagine. I can't imagine the cross section of people that listen to our show that haven't seen the movie yet. I mean, I'm sure if there is a scenario, it's unlikely. Like the person would have wanted to see it by now, but I would assume everybody who's tuning into Superhero Slate would have seen Star Wars by now.
We hope so, but if not, for that one person, we're doing you a favor now.
Yeah. Well, I suppose you could be a Chinese listener that hasn't seen the movie yet, but that's a story for a different day. Yeah, it's a story for a different day. Skip to the next time code if you're that. But yeah, so spoilers. Han Solo dies. I'm just gonna get that.
Oh damn, son, that was quick. So the movie, that wasn't our news, but the movie has made $1.5 billion worldwide in 16.5 days, which took Avatar 72 days to do the same.
Yeah, I mean this is huge. I mean it's just creaming the box office.
Yeah, it is, and it should become number one domestic by Monday, passing Avatar.
Mm-hmm.
The 1.5 billion, that's worldwide again. That's 2.7, I think, is what it has to beat. But all time worldwide, we have a nice little chart here that Mike has provided from, I believe, Box Office Mojo.
Mm-hmm.
So Avatar is number one, Titanic, Jurassic World, The Avengers, Furious 7, and then The Force Awakens is now number 6. And it looks like it's going to take Fury 7 because it only needs 5 million more to take it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is very safe to say, without any doubts, that it's going to be the number 3 movie all time safely. I think it's got no problem overtaking Jurassic World. I think that's going to be simple. I mean, it's a better movie than Jurassic World, but also like it hasn't lost any steam. It's like barely in its third week. So it's not going to have any problem getting up there. It's getting to the Titanic Avatar level, which is the big question mark.
And the key point you mentioned earlier, it is not open in China. It opens later this month in China, which is the second biggest film market. And when it hits there, hopefully, knock on wood, the Star Wars hype train keeps rolling, and it'll definitely hit top 3. And I know it'll probably overtake Titanic. It's the Avatar. That's another $500 million it has to reach.
Yeah, it's like a whole different ballgame. I mean, in case you missed the numbers here again, Avatar number 1 at 2.7 billion, Titanic at 2.1, and then Jurassic World's at 2.6.
1.6.
I mean, at 1.6. We really think that it's going to take Jurassic World. So it's just, can it get to that kind of next level? And I was talking about this with my wife the other day when we were traveling in the car. Like Avatar and Titanic are just two very unique scenarios of movies. Like Avatar is a very mediocre movie, but it caught the wave of those IMAX 3D ticket prices. You know, it was kind of first there with the big tentpole movie, marketing all around it. These ticket prices just sold out really quickly. So
and it was there a long time because they kept we're gonna open Avatar in theaters again for you to see it. Like it just kept staying in theaters for a very, very, very long time.
Yeah, but I mean, if I had to look at these number 1 and 2, these James Cameron Titanic movies, if you will, I think Star Wars could have it in it to beat it.
I totally agree. And again, Avatar is at the same point, $1.5 billion, which is half of what it currently made almost in 72 days. So it would have had to keep going at that same incremental rate for another 72 days to reach where it is now. So that's 144 days. Like that's like almost 4 months of theater. So yeah, we got a long way for Star Wars, and I'm really happy for it. I'm excited, and Disney's taking that money and probably gonna reinvest it right back into it. So
yeah, I'm
excited for that.
Yeah, I was thinking the other day. Obviously, we all know it was a $4 billion purchase, and the money it's making is not going to be just from the box office. They make tons of money with merchandising and all of these other different avenues they can make money with Star Wars. And I'm curious if they've recouped their investment yet. Because I feel like the merchandising dollars will never be really made public, and I feel like that's just kind of like the secret money that they're raking in.
It would definitely be interesting to see because, I mean, to make back a whole franchise purchase on one movie, and I would give it Star Wars Rebels. I think Star Wars Rebels makes them a lot of money for kids stuff. Would be interesting. I know Disney Infinity 3.0, the Star Wars edition, made Disney a shit ton of money this year as well. They got some of my money, I'll tell you that right now. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see if they could. And how good is Rogue One going to do to this, which we'll talk about later. Because I don't think we should compare them at all.
No, not at all. These anthology films are just going to be their own beast. And actually, the anthology films, I'm really looking forward to them trying something that's not so safe. Really the biggest criticism that I've been hearing that's kind of been legitimate for the Force Awakens is that it seemed a little safe. We talked about it.
It plays off nostalgia, like I said.
Yeah, we talked about it in our spoiler cast that it kind of needed to be. There's a lot riding on this movie, and it did its job very, very well. I'm just looking forward to the next movies just really being unique and being a little different. And I know we'll get that in those anthology films just because they don't really have to worry about all of that. But man, I'm still looking forward to all these 5 movies, man. It's gonna be crazy.
It is. It definitely. On top of that, something else I want to share with you guys is the first official image of Supreme Leader Snoke has been released from Entertainment Weekly, who gave us a lot of information. Now, I just want to say, we've talked about this before, but now we have a good chance to kind of analyze the character. He's a very alien-looking figure, but he's got scars down his face. He's been disfigured horrifically.
Yeah, he's seen some things.
Yeah, and I don't think, some people are like, oh, maybe it's like the similar wounds Darth Vader had. I don't think it is. I don't think this is, the Anakin Skywalker Darth Vader body since we saw his Force ghost. I still am very leaning towards Supreme Leader Snoke, it being Darth Plagueis, the Wise, which we don't know. We can't say that the book is canon anymore, so whatever was in the book can be used, but we don't know if it will be.
So what do we know about Darth Plagueis? I mean, how much out there is canon? Because I believe, if I remember right, he was just kind of mentioned in conversation in the prequels, right? Or did that happen? I'm imagining.
No, you're correct. It was in Revenge of the Sith. He's talking. Sidious, as Palpatine, is talking to Anakin about someone who could save the ones he loved from dying, and that he was that person was there and he was killed by his quote unquote apprentice. But if you read the book before this, the last book published, I believe, before the canon wipe was the Darth Plagueis book.
Okay,
and he gets wounds similar to this in that book before he dies at the hands of Sidious. But he was also a master of illusions and manipulations, a lot like Loki is. So I could see him, maybe being weak, but like faking his death at that point to regain his strength at a later time to return. But we don't know. The only thing we know is that he is the master of Palpatine. It could be a brand new character. Who knows at this point? I honestly don't. But Revenge of the Sith, it's officially, that's the only Darth Plagueis news that we have, or information. But I like this image. It's great. Take a look at it. Snoke is awesome. For a villain, like the mysterious Andy Serkis is a great motion capture. He did a great voice at it. I couldn't even tell the voice was his, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, he's a man. He's the man.
He's a master. Well, he's more than a man. He's Gollum and the Caesar apes from Planet of the Apes, and he's in Avengers. He's everywhere. But yeah, Snoke. Now let's get into something we got last week. Fan mail about Star Wars. We got a letter from Jim Mentier again, Star Wars Reactions 2.0, he calls it, where he talks about how much not Darth Vader, but Han Solo means to him as a character, because he grew up, looking at Harrison Ford as like his hero, his father figure, and it's a very touching letter. And I'd love to read it all here, but it's a little long for the podcast. However, it definitely opens up the eyes that maybe movie characters can be seen as more than just movie characters to other people. I think is the lesson I got from this. I don't know about you.
Yeah, well, I mean, just speaking specifically to his death, I mean, we did a lot of research when it came to the original prequels. Well, I guess they're all prequels now, like we're saying. The original trilogy and then the prequels. Looking into that, you learn a lot that Han Solo, he was a character that may or may not have been around if I don't know if Lucas couldn't have convinced otherwise. Yeah.
Harrison Ford did not want to come back after Empire.
Yeah, so it's kind of just like when it happened, you're just like, oh, okay, this was originally going to happen. So it seems like he got what he wanted with this character.
Yeah, and they've since released the script for the film, the Star Wars: The Force Awakens, in the past week. And at that point in the film, it says that Kylo Ren is weakened by his actions, which I kind of didn't get in the movie. But he's weakened and like kind of in shock at what he did. And I think that could have probably been played a little better at that point.
Yeah, I think he was. If I got any sort of weakened, it would have been when Chewie blasted him.
Yeah, when he was shot in the stomach. That's the only thing I got. But like, I think the script did it better than the movie gave us to us. But I understand. I mean, my future sister-in-law, like, you know, she wept at Harrison Ford's death as well, and I get it. Like it's totally understand it, and we sympathize with you, and we're sad that he's not coming back, but hopefully they don't kill another one in the next movie.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think it's just, I was just so swept up in the new characters of the movie that the older characters were great to see, but I just knew I was in good hands going forward. I just knew when the new movies came out, I would not be sad missing these older characters, just because Rey and Finn and Poe are just so charming and so infectious. Yeah. I just love watching them. So it's just like, yeah, you know, it's sad to see Harrison Ford and Han Solo go, but like, I just know like they're still fun to be had. So I think that kind of helps soften the blow.
Yeah, and Harrison Ford's technically still around. So thank God for that.
Yes, he is still around, being an old curmudgeon.
Yes, definitely. So, yep, Star Wars. Now let's talk about the next movie we're going to see, Deadpool. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is basically going to be a number one on our radar until it comes out.
We're like 6 weeks away from this.
Yeah, it's impending. I wouldn't be surprised if we got one more trailer. I don't know if I'll watch it. I think we're coming time to that point in time where, you know, we'll be getting TV spots and things that are just showing a little too much. So who knows if we'll talk about those in the future, but yeah, next month.
See, that's the thing. I don't know how much TV spots we'll get because it's an R-rated film. Mm-hmm. R-rated films are a little harder to market, and they might be, you know, trying to push it on us, but I don't think it'll be as heavy as, you know, Civil War or Batman and Superman and Apocalypse will be, because, you know, this is a specific audience they're going for. But the runtime for the movie is 1 hour and 46 minutes. Mm-hmm. One of the shorter superhero movies to date, but it's 6 minutes longer than Fantastic Four. So,
man, that's funny because Fantastic Four felt like 2.5 hours.
It felt like a long movie. I think Kick-Ass is the other movie shorter than this in the recent years. Kick-Ass 2 was shorter, but everything else is usually in the the 2 hour to 2.5 hour range.
Yeah, well, I think this is going to work out well for Deadpool because, I mean, it's basically... It's going to be kind of like an action comedy almost. Like Deadpool's a very funny character, as we all know. So most comedies usually run under 2 hours. So
yeah,
we'll have to see how this holds up.
And I think it'll help with. I mean, I don't think Deadpool will get old, but in the comic books, he can really get on your nerves, like because it's just so much. Like he's such a demanding character because it's like fourth wall and in there and making jokes at every turn. You know, I think this will prevent us to get over Deadpooled. If that's now a verb, we're gonna get over Deadpooled. So I think that's a great thing to do, and Deadpool is awesome. It's our next spoiler cast. I can't wait to do it, honestly.
Yeah, I would love to see something at the end of the movie, kind of like, have you seen the end of Ferris Bueller's Day Off at the very end, where Ferris comes out and starts talking to the crowd in the theater? He's like, "Why are you still here? Go, the movie's over." I could imagine Deadpool and Ryan Reynolds doing something like that.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. Regardless, I don't know what to expect, and that makes it even better. Mm-hmm. I hope Stan Lee's cameo is full of cuss words. Something else I did this week, I rewatched Daredevil.
Oh, you guys finished it. Yeah, you said your wife watched it fiance watched it for the first time and you were joining her.
Yes, so she actually I caught like the first 2 episodes and then the last 3, and she watched all of them in the middle when I was busy. Mm-hmm. But we finished it finally yesterday, and I like the last 2 episodes more than I remember. Mm-hmm. But again, I still hold, my opinion holds. Jessica Jones learned a lot from Daredevil. Daredevil's good. Jessica Jones takes it that next step further up the stairs. Is that much better? But Daredevil Season 2, according to Empire and EW print articles, is releasing in March of this year instead of April.
Okay.
I did not expect this. That's a lot closer than I anticipated by any means.
Yeah, well, what movies, don't we have like a big tentpole movie coming out in April?
No, there's no April movie as far as I know.
Oh, I thought there was an April movie.
We go from Batman v Superman at the end of March right to Civil War in May.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, it seems like it still would have been a good idea to put out in that month since there was no big movies in that time.
It is, but this may also be Marvel's way to maybe not combat, but like still like bring some Marvel awareness in March. Mm-hmm. Because also March, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 3, the second half kicks back up. Mm-hmm. And we'll just be over Marveled by the time we get to Civil War. And maybe the Daredevil Season 1 was a little overshadowed by Age of Ultron, because of the closeness or proximity.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know. This is all speculation, but they both articles said March. If we get it in March, that's just going to blow my mind that we didn't have to wait that much longer, and how much promotional materials they're not putting out for it.
Yeah, I think I really want to rewatch that season. I just got to find time to carve out. We finally got our Hulu Plus subscription, so we can actually.
Hashtag fuck Hulu Plus is now over.
Yeah, it's now over since I can enjoy it commercial free. So I've got I got a plethora of things I can watch at any point in time, streaming it. So I just got to find time to carve out for Daredevil because I really want to watch it again. I love that first season, and I would actually like to know how it holds up against Jessica Jones, since I still think I found it better. So we'll just have to see.
Yeah, that's cool. We're starting. I think she's starting Jessica Jones right now while we're recording. So actually, really excited to see what my fiance, a non-comic book person, thinks of that. About Deadpool or Daredevil shirt today, actually, at Macy's. So
all right,
there you go. Yeah, repping that Daredevil. Before that, though, we get Agent Carter season 2.
Yeah,
that starts off January 19th. We are 2 weeks away from that. A little over 2 weeks. They got us a new promo for the new year. This show looks to be kind of up in its ante as well. For this season, I think they're doing 10 episodes instead of 8.
Yeah, it's a 2-hour premiere, I believe, too. So I don't know if
that's two. It's technically 2 episodes.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
So 2 episodes on the 2-hour premiere. I think there's a lot more guns in this. Peggy Carter looks to be kicking a little more ass. And Jarvis is back, which I'm really excited to meet. Yeah. Again, I love Jarvis in the first season. I think he was a little underutilized in the second half. Hopefully, he's there a lot more this time. And we get to see a quick flash of young Howard Stark appearing as well, so he'll be back for a little bit.
Yeah, but overall, I feel like this new promo for the new year is not really aimed at us. These promos for Agent Carter have this really bizarre, light and fluffy feel to them that I just don't think kind of matches the tone of the show. Because I think the tone of the show kind of runs alongside the tone of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Maybe not as modern, obviously, but. It seems like they're trying to get this show into new people's hands, almost try to attract new eyeballs, which is what they need, because that was kind of what had the first season on shaky grounds. But yeah, I watched this promo. I'm just like, this isn't the Agent Carter I remember watching last season. So.
Well, I think it's gonna be interesting too, because they're taking her to L.A. in the 40s or 50s, I guess, and I think L.A. is a different feel than East Coast. We get the New York vibe. It's always dark and gritty, like Daredevil, Jessica Jones kind of stuff. Showed us that. So I hopefully maybe the LA is a light area, like a little more Iron Man-y, But either way, it's fine. I agree. It's gonna look great. I'm excited for it.
Yeah, I mean, she's popped up in these promos for season 2 like 3 or 4 times with shotguns. So she's definitely not being dainty and frilly and light and bubbly.
I'm gonna be out. This show's for chicks too. I think that's what you were getting at. Is this show is being marketed towards women, and I know a lot of girls who dressed up as Agent Carter for Halloween, and I think that's great. I think this is awesome. Get some female superheroes out there, doing their own thing, and that's. I guess she is a superhero, but kind of not. I don't know.
Yeah, she's a superhero. I mean, if Black Widow can be a superhero, she's a superhero.
Yes. So, yeah, whatever. So I think she's actually going to make another appearance this year in Captain America: Civil War. So, which brings us to our next point: Captain America: Civil War.
You are. I don't know if people can hear the slight key tappings, but you are adjusting the show notes on the fly to complement your segues.
I added some notes in later, and that split them apart. I don't know why I did it. But the next Captain America: Civil War, we got some new promo art.
Yeah, this is exciting promo art. Almost to the point where I wish it wasn't there. I don't want to say it's a spoiler, but it's definitely a moment that we have been looking forward to that we thought we might get, but now we kind of get confirmation.
So this promo art, whether it's just for promotions or going to be used in the movie or not, takes its points from a key thing in the comics and from Avengers: Earth's Mightiest Heroes, which is that Hawkeye fires Ant-Man on an arrow.
Yeah, it's so cool.
So what I saw this image, and I sent a GIF the other day to you, Mike, about Earth's Mightiest Heroes when Hawkeye did it in that as well. And he shoots him, and he grows in size as soon as he gets to the place he needs to and punches somebody.
Yeah.
which is really cool. And they've used that in the comics before. They use it in that cartoon. So we're hoping they're using it in Civil War. Whether they do or not, I don't know. Simply because this Hawkeye doesn't look like the outfit we saw. I don't know. Again, it could just be something for promotions and nothing that actually happens. But it would be really cool to see it happen in the movie.
I think it makes sense. I mean, this is the first time that, we probably never thought this moment would ever come to a screen. I mean, like, Hawkeye in a movie was already kind of a big deal that we were getting Hawkeye in a movie, and then Ant-Man came along, and then, they're actually going to put him in a movie together. I mean, it's just crazy the course that has been laid out to let this one little moment happen. I just hope it's really, really awesome when it happens.
Yeah, and I think with Scott Lang being played by Paul Rudd, it's going to be funny. It's going to be a great moment because Hawkeye always kind of delivers things a little sarcastic and dry, and Paul Rudd will be the opposite of that. So teaming those two guys up, I think, will be some great banter on screen. It'll be funny energy, if you will.
I think the moment's going to be a great payoff. I don't think it's just going to be like a throwaway like punch. I think that they might knock somebody out and like end the scene with that.
Yeah, like that'll be the battle. Which brings me to our next point. Just a note about Marvel Studios as a whole. A lot of people have kind of been wondering what Joss Whedon's role is going forward into Phase 3, and he removed himself from it after he did Age of Ultron. So he had guidance. He did Avengers 1, and he kind of guided Phase 2 movies in and out throughout as they culminated in Age of Ultron. But then he has since removed himself, so he's not going to be helping Marvel Studios going forward, but I don't think it's any bad blood. He may come back later if they want him to, maybe do his own thing, but he's not guiding Phase 3 like he did Phase 2.
Yeah, I imagine he was kind of more of like a right-hand man for Kevin Feige going through Phase 2, basically giving him some guidance, be like, hey, I directed like the best movie you've ever made at the time, and he was also like, I've written some comic books, take it from me. You want this character to do this thing, and, but I think Joss Whedon just like, I don't want to say he took a huge blow from Age of Ultron, but just from what I remember hearing, it's just like these were way more characters than he was comfortable handling. He had to fit them all in one movie. I mean, he made such an awesome first Avengers movie. He had so much pressure put on him to really deliver, and I think the unanimous consensus is that the first Avengers was better than the second one. So it's just kind of like, I get why Joss Whedon might just want to step away and go work on anything else.
Well, I think the second Avengers is more of a movie he wanted to make rather than the first Avengers, where he had to scramble to bring them all together at the last minute. So I don't think it's bad, but I think getting different talent in and out of the Marvel Studios movies is definitely what's going to keep them fresh and going forward. The way like the Russo brothers are kind of handling Phase 3 a little bit, kicking it off with Civil War and ending it with the Avengers Infinity War movies. I think they'll be playing a little bit part, but again, also Marvel Studios is a different beast now that it's reporting directly to Disney, and they don't have to deal with all the head of like the Marvel, / Disney kind of crap that went on earlier, where they kind of held them back a little bit and wouldn't give them the money to do the stuff they wanted. So I think we're going to see a different Marvel Studios going forward, but a better, more evolved one that's freer to do what they want to do.
Yeah, I mean, either way, I've had a chance to see Joss Whedon speak at Comic-Con, and he is the type of guy that doesn't want to get tied down in any like specific project for a long time. He likes to do his own thing. He likes to jump around. He likes to do multiple projects. He likes to tell stories in any medium. He likes, comic books, TVs, movies. So this really shouldn't be a surprise to anybody.
Yeah, just don't go to DC, man. Just don't.
No, I want him to. I would love to see Joss Whedon do a DC movie. That'd be awesome.
The only one I would have trusted him with was Wonder Woman, and they turned him down on that one. So
yeah, that's true. He might not go back due to that.
Yeah.
But it all depends. Like, just like, as long as an executive gets fired, a new one's hired, and is nice to him, Hollywood politics.
Yeah, all Hollywood politics. So did you like the James Bond movie? I don't remember if you did or not.
Well, I didn't go see it just because I just heard it was slightly underwhelming.
Yeah, I wouldn't go that far. It's just, it wasn't bad. It wasn't good. Yeah, I guess underwhelming.
Yeah, I have not heard too many people go, you gotta see this movie. It's the best movie. You gotta go.
It is definitely a movie. That's how I'd put it.
A movie. That's what I like to hear.
So Christoph Waltz plays the villain Blofeld in the movie. Mm-hmm. And Waltz will return as Blofeld in 2 more movies as long as Daniel Craig stays Bond, because he thinks, it should be continuity. Same Blofeld, same Bond.
Daniel Craig's kind of busy being a stormtrooper, so I don't know about that.
Well, he's too busy being a potato, in my opinion. But at the same time, I don't see this argument they use makes no sense, because Judi Dench has been M for like 12 Bond movies before Daniel Craig. So I don't know if they're trying to make a continuity universe going forward, but they're going to have to change out James Bond eventually, because he's not going to do it forever. So I don't know. I would like to see more of this Blofeld, maybe be better than he was in the last movie. Yeah. But I don't care. I like Christoph Waltz.
Yeah, well, from what I've heard, Daniel Craig is kind of softening a little bit. I guess all the media blitz that he went on after the movie was done, he had just been exhausted and away from his family, and he was basically telling everyone he didn't want to be Bond again. But I guess now, since the movie's been out for a while, I guess some reports are coming out that he's kind of like softening up to the idea. He's just like, no, I kind of just said all that in the heat of the moment, I think so. There's a possibility he could be coming back.
See, I heard it the other way, that he'd always he wanted to at the beginning, and then he didn't want to, and now he wants to again. Like, he's very wishy-washy on this. Like, it's gone back and forth several times, but I don't care either way. Just give me a good Bond movie. I don't care who plays it.
Yeah, that's true.
That's me. Now Mike's favorite movie, Alien Covenant. It is set 10 years after the Prometheus film.
Okay. We're not going to be picking up right off where what's her face was carrying around Daniel's white, juicy, dripping head.
Yes, Daniel Craig. Daniel, was that the robot's name?
Was it? I just assume it was Daniel.
It might have well been. I don't know. Yeah,
or
probably.
David. I think it started with
David. It's David.
Okay.
I'm like, Daniel. That doesn't make sense. We just had to get but that makes it still 18 years before Alien, because of it was 28 years for Prometheus. So we still have some time gaps to catch up, so we can still fill you in on how these are prequels and sequels at the same time, but we will get there. Just like Rogue One is a sequel but a prequel. I'm so confused. No, I'm kidding. But that's just some Alien Covenant news I thought was interesting, since we didn't have a whole lot going on this week.
You just like to see me get frustrated.
I do. God, I love to just throw these at you. We don't have any TMNT 2 stuff, so.
Yeah, well, I mean, speaking to the 10-year time span, I mean, we left off with them planning on going to the main white giant's homeworld?
The engineers. The engineers'
homeworld. And we've basically been told that's where we're going to see in the next movie.
Yeah.
So I wonder if it takes them 10 years to fly there, or maybe if they're just
the movie is like Numi Rapace. I don't think will be in the movie. I think they went there, landed there, and she's gone, but only David's remaining. Mm-hmm. And this is another group landing there after they get like a distress signal. So,
all right. Well, we'll have to see how that shakes out.
We need a trailer. We really need a trailer. But now let's get to some fun parts of this show.
Yeah, because it's a new year. 2015 is behind us. No more Fantastic Fours we have to worry about.
No, you don't know that. We got other movies to worry about. But yes, so I made this list probably 3 weeks ago. A 16 and 2016 movies.
Oh, I see. So did you kind of have to manipulate it a little bit to get to that 16, or did it just turn out to be that good?
It actually, I had to leave stuff off. But I also had to do some changes here, because I'm going to include TV shows in here. Uh-huh. And by TV shows, I mean a TV show, because I think it really holds up in something I want to see.
Yeah, it's like, well, listen here, this is a podcast. Sometimes we try to come up with clever titles for the episodes, and if we want to call it 16 in 2016, we're gonna make it work.
Yeah, we're gonna make it work. So let's start off with the first. Let's just go through the list. I'm just gonna go ahead and go through this list. I don't care. We'll just go through it. First off, these are in order of release.
Yeah.
Deadpool, February 12th.
Okay.
We got nothing else between here and there, actually. Mm-hmm. But we also talked about the second movie, Zoolander 2, February 12th.
Gotcha.
We got to do a double show. I don't know how we're going to pull it off, but we're going to do it. I stand by that sentiment that I'm going to see them both the same day. Because I don't want to have to drive to the movie theater, guys. Okay, come on. It's a little bit of a drive for me. But that gives us, in March, is Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. We're less than 3 months away.
Yeah, that's basically. I mean, Deadpool might be the first kind of superhero movie of the year, but Batman vs Superman is going to be the first mega blockbuster 2016. Holy crap!
Non-R-rated movie, pretty much that kids will flock to.
The kids, as they say.
The kids, and we know a lot about this movie from the last trailer. I don't think we'll get another one. We'll probably get some smaller stuff. But Batman v Superman is going to be interesting, to say the least. I think that'll be probably one of our longer or more interesting spoiler casts, simply because this is the second movie, technically the first movie setting up the DC Cinematic Universe. Because the first one is a standalone, and if they didn't make any more, fine, whatever. But this is the one that builds upon that and expands on it. I think we got to really... they got to hit it out of the park. And we've talked about that before. For number 4, I'd actually written down the Ratchet and Clank movie. Did you ever play those games?
I may have played like a level or two, but I don't believe I've ever owned the game now.
Okay, I played a couple of them. They were interesting. They were very, very fun PlayStation games, platformers, so and such. But I replaced this with Daredevil Season 2 coming out in March.
Okay,
because
gotcha.
I think Daredevil Season 2 is something that we both will see, whereas Ratchet and Clank is not something we'll both see.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a video game movie, Ratchet and Clank, but really not in the same respects of Warcraft and Assassin's Creed. So
it's definitely still a cartoon movie, and it was just kind of I'm interested because they don't do this very often, and this may be a glimpse into how they would do the animated Spider-Man movie.
Yeah, I can see what you're saying.
But at the same time, Daredevil Season 2 was just that much more interesting because it's been titled The Daredevil vs. Punisher. So I really want to see that. That's in March. That's the same month I'm at C2E2, so I expect a lot of news to come out of there. It's the first Comic-Con of the year, pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty excited. But then we have to wait all of April before we can get to Captain America Civil War.
Man, that's going to be a long wait, but I'm excited.
That's okay because most of our TV shows will be going full blast in April. So I think we'll be able to catch up on TV in that month or see Batman v Superman a couple times.
Yeah.
I don't know. But May 6th, the first weekend, kicks off the superhero, I guess the summer movie season.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Sometimes March movies sometimes can be attached to summer by association, even though it's not really the beginning, but we'll have to see how that shakes.
Yeah. I mean, March, the first weekend in May is technically summer movie season because that's when drive-in theaters open. That's when kids are out of school and they can go see movies.
The kids.
Back to the kids, guys. But to see Civil War, probably my most anticipated movie of the year, by a long shot. But we only have a quick 3 weeks before X-Men Apocalypse comes out at May 27th.
We're going to have to make sure our microphones are nice and tuned. All the wires are where they need to be.
Yep, I'll have to make sure that laptop stays charged for that. Which, that's cool. X-Men Apocalypse, we need another trailer. We weren't blown away by the first one. Let's get another one out there. Number 7, TMNT 2, Out of the Shadows.
Yeah, we got to lighten things up. We're hardcore superhero fans, and we take these movie-going experiences very seriously when we go into them, even though we usually end up having a lot of fun. But TMNT 2 is just going to be kind of stupid fun. I'm looking forward to it. It'll be a nice break.
Yeah, it will be. We don't hate the first one, so I think we'll have some good times with this one as well. Followed a week later by Warcraft.
Yeah, okay.
we talk about it. I don't think it's going to be... I guess we can replace this with Assassin's Creed. I don't know how to put them because Assassin's Creed's December, Warcraft is, June. These are two huge tentpole video game movies.
I'm looking forward way more to Assassin's Creed than I am Warcraft. That's for sure.
I definitely am too, but I fear that Assassin's Creed will be overshadowed by another movie we're going to talk about later.
Well, I fear possibility. If we're going to know if Assassin's Creed is not good if it gets bumped into 2017. Because sometimes that happens. Movies are slated for December. They think they're going to be big hits. Then it comes off the editing room floor. People start watching it at the studio. They're like, oh, crap, this movie sucks. Move it to January.
Well, do you mean Assassin's Creed or Warcraft? Because Assassin's Creed's winter.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean, Assassin's Creed.
Well, you said summer. That's why I was curious. It wasn't bumped from summer. It was already in December.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll see. So Warcraft, Assassin's Creed, kind of there at the same point.
Yeah. We're going to talk about this a little bit later, but Warcraft was getting close to getting on my my famous 2016 list, So I'm not looking to.
Well, in that case, we'll kick back in something you probably will love the hell out of: Independence Day Resurgence.
Yeah, we'll have
I'm
to
kidding.
see.
You won't like it that much. We will have some fun with this movie. I think it's going to be a kick back, turn off your mind, and just watch it go. Mm-hmm. It's got your favorite guy in it, Jeff Goldblum.
Oh, Jeff Goldblum, he's the man.
See, there we go. That's the selling point for that movie. If you want Mike to see a movie, put Jeff Goldblum in it.
Exactly. I would pretty much see everything he's in.
Yes, but a whole month later is Star Trek Beyond.
Yeah. Does this? I mean, this doesn't. The trailer didn't get me too excited. I like the franchise. I like the actors. I like the characters. It's always like a fun. It's usually like a funny action comedy almost. Which is bizarre because you wouldn't really describe Star Trek as that. So I'll see it, but this isn't like a Thursday 8 p.m. midnight release, see it type deal.
This is the weekend of for me, but not the release day probably.
Yeah.
But the thing is, every even Star Trek movie is a good one. Honestly, every even number Star Trek movie is one you enjoy. This is another even Star Trek movie. Not done by J.J. Abrams, who gave us essentially 2 nostalgia filled films, but this is, somebody else taking the reins and giving us another Star Trek movie. It's going to be different. I think this is going to be an enjoyable one because it's going to be different and not rely on past films so much. Mm-hmm. But the next week is a film series I truly enjoy, the Bourne movies. The fifth one with Matt Damon returning is out the last week of July.
Yeah, and I think people are basically putting this in a category on its own. I am a really, really big fan of the original trilogy of Bourne films. I have them all in a little box set. They're excellent.
Is it a silver box set? Folds open?
I know it folds open. I don't think it's silver, though.
I have the same thing.
Okay, well, it's not Blu-ray, though. It's DVD. So.
Yeah, no, same thing. I got it years ago. Yep.
Okay, we might own the same thing then.
We are probably twins.
But I mean, it's a great trilogy. It's a nice story that travels over the 3 movies really, really well.
It redefined film fighting. Like we never saw fighting style shot like that or acted like that in films before.
Yeah, shaky cam fighting now gets a bad rap, but they did it right and they did it first. And it's just a great spy movie. I mean, spy movies are awesome. It took itself seriously. I never got around to seeing the 4th one with Jeremy Renner just because I just did not hear good things about it, and I wanted to keep the feeling that I had with the original trilogy intact. So I skipped it, and I honestly don't think I'm going to watch it.
The 5th one?
The 4th one.
Oh, that's fine. It's essentially how Hawkeye became Hawkeye is what it's essentially what it is. Uh-huh. But Bourne 5, I think Matt Damon returning, like that was the Bourne movies when Matt Damon was just a baby face kid actor who wasn't in anything, and that propelled him into stardom in action movies. Yeah. And him coming off The Martian this year, going right into Bourne 5, I think is going to be a great choice. Great movie. I want to see where Jason is all these years later. Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I don't think we need the movie, but it makes me curious enough that I would like to see it.
Yeah, definitely. I want to see a trailer. I want to see the trailer. Let's see what it is. But then we get one of the more interesting choices of the year, Suicide Squad.
Yeah, this will be fun. This will be goofy.
The 3rd DC movie of the year, or of the franchise, and it definitely looks like it borrows from Batman a lot. We see Batman in the trailer, the Joker, Harley Quinn, but we don't know a lot about what's going on. The first trailer for this drops January 19th, or I guess the first official trailer, not the teaser trailer, drops January 19th. We will see more about this movie.
Yeah, August in the summertime, for summer movies, it's always a coin flip month, I feel like. You get really, really bizarre action movies that you're just like, oh, why is that there? And it's just like, oh, well, if it was good, it would have been earlier in the summer. But sometimes there's good stuff in there. If I remember right, I don't know if I'm right in this, but I feel like Edge of Tomorrow was an August movie.
That's a good question. I don't know off the top of my head. I've actually still not seen that movie because I haven't found time. It was a June movie.
Okay, gotcha. Well, either way, August is always kind of a coin flip month. I don't think this is going to be in the case with Suicide Squad. I think it's going to be a good flick.
Yeah, you're right.
But,
August is usually where they put some movies where they're like iffy on.
Yeah.
But Suicide Squad, I think, has captured the imaginations of lots of people. We get the Joker returning. I think that's a big thing. Harley Quinn for the first time getting her cinematic feet wet. Will Smith, he's a big draw. Let's see him. And the guy I love to punch in the face playing Captain Boomerang. I can't even think of his name off the top of my head. That's
was it Jai Courtney?
Yeah, goddamn.
You hate him so much you don't even leave him room in your brain.
I don't. I almost feel bad, but I don't. But then we have to wait 2 months possibly to get an October movie in Gambit.
Gambit.
Oh man, go ahead.
I have some words, but I'm actually going to save it because we're getting towards the bottom of this list. I don't want to gum it up with Gambit, which may or may not even come out.
Yeah, Gambit is one of those things, like, they haven't started filming yet, so I don't know how they're going to get it out by October. I feel this is going to take the Fantastic Four 2 slot for 2017. But who knows? They could cancel it by then. I don't know. I don't know how this movie's going to go. But Gambit's not on something I really want to see anyway, so...
Yeah, but it doesn't matter because only a month later we get something that we are looking forward to.
Yes, Doctor Strange. We got our first images last week. Looked beautiful. Marvel's stepping outside of their known territory and giving us Doctor Strange origin story with Benedict Cumberbatch, who just got off his Sherlock special, which I haven't seen yet.
I haven't seen it yet either, but man, I love winter blockbusters. I love it when the end of the year comes around and I don't just have to try to find movies that are like Oscar worthy to watch. Like there's actually good tentpole movies coming out at the end of the year, which is why Star Wars was great at the end of the year. I love that. So I love that we're getting a Marvel movie at the end of the year, and that's kind of, we used to have our Thor movies there. That's when we used to get our Thor at the end of the year. But now we're getting Doctor Strange. It's going to be great. It's going to be a great early birthday present.
I tell you what, Guardians of the Galaxy was an August movie. Talking about August movies that blew up and became popular, Guardians of the Galaxy did. Suicide Squad sits in that same slot. So there we go.
That coin flip month.
Yes. Later in November, we get the new Harry Potter movie, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them.
Ooh, that's going to be a big one. We'll bring my wife on for that spoiler cast.
That is a prequel movie, Mike. Just to give you a heads up, and it's set in America.
Yeah.
So that's they don't have Muggles; they call them No-Maj.
It's gonna be fun. I'm looking forward to talking about the future of the Wizarding World franchise, and my wife is very intelligent when it comes to this conversation. So we can just ask her, we can just record the Q&A session with her. Basically,
I will bring my wife at that point onto the show, and maybe just let them talk it out for the whole show.
Yeah, she will be your wife at that point in time,
and she English teacher loves Harry Potter. Can't stop.
There we go. It'll be a great podcast.
Yes. Lastly, number 16 for 16 is Star Wars Rogue One, the movie that could outshine Assassin's Creed, which worries me.
Yeah, well, I mean, we'll just have to see how it goes. I mean, man, Star Wars, that's all you need in a title for a movie to sell tickets. I think this won't necessarily take education for the general public, but I always just try to think of just the people that just don't really follow movies, and they're just like, oh, another Star Wars movie, what's going on here? I think the trailers will get the point out there across, and I think this will be a good showing for December. Man, I love that we're getting exciting movies in December.
Yeah, me too. I think December is the new December. I don't know. I don't know how to really compare it, but yes, December movies, they're gonna blow us out of the water. Like, we no longer have to wait year-round to get these things. As you can tell, we nearly have something every month except for April and September. And maybe not October if we get our way. That's only if we're lucky. But this is our 16 for 16 list. I think it's a good list. I think it can change as we evolve. I don't think any of these dates are negotiable at this point except for Gambit. Yeah. And maybe Daredevil if the news print articles were wrong. But I am looking forward to watching. I may not enjoy every movie, but I will watch every movie on this list, I think.
Yeah, well, speaking of Gambit and other movies that I'm not too excited for.
Movies we won't be watching this year.
Yeah, last year, our very first episode of Superhero Slate, we did a little segment of anticipated movies for 2015, and that was your That was your little list, and I decided to go a little bit more somber, and I did least anticipated or most unanticipated, whichever way you want to say it. But to run down my movies from last year and how they ended up doing, in order from their release, I believe is how these are listed. Jupiter Ascending did a whopping 25% on Rotten Tomato. We had Get Hard, which was that comedy with Kevin Hart and Will Ferrell. That did 29%. Terminator Genesis, which I haven't seen and I'm not going to see it, 27%. Point Break, which I was astonished to look up today and see how well that did, 7%. Wow. I knew I wasn't looking forward to that, and I'm sure it did awful in the box office too, competing with Star Wars. That was just a loser every which way. And then number 5, which was originally supposed to come out in October last year but got pushed to this year that we now have a trailer for, was The Jungle Book. So the trailer made me a little nervous. It didn't look quite like garbage, but I personally have not been a fan of the live action Disney movies. They just don't.
How many have you seen?
They just don't. They don't interest me, so I haven't seen them. I understand the opinion out there is different, but they just don't interest me. But I really liked the Jungle Book movie, the animated movie growing up. So just to show my cards, my new list for 2016, Jungle Book is not on it. So I'm not going to say I completely cleared the board last year because this wasn't on there, but I went 4 for 4. 5 as a technicality didn't come out, so.
Yeah, I will give you 100% correctness. Simply because it was moved, it did not release, therefore it's at a 0% as of 2015.
Yeah, exactly. But, so now we move into my new list. I'm going to lay them out for 2016, my least anticipated movies of 2016. From order they release, I believe they might be off a little bit. Who knows if these dates change. Number 1, this should not be a surprise to anybody if they've seen the trailer, Gods of Egypt, which is this bizarre movie, which is kind of unfortunate because it looks like it's a somewhat original idea. I don't believe it's based on a book or a comic book or anything. I mean, I guess it's based on mythology, but it just seems to be some sort of bizarre movie with Egyptian gods with a lot of CG. It's directed by Alex Proyas. I believe that's how you say his name. The only thing I've seen him that he's done before is iRobot, which is a kind of okay movie. It's kind of one of those movies that if it's on cable, you flip it on and turn it on just because Will Smith kind of will carry it. But it's also starring Gerard Butler and I can't pronounce his name, but he's basically Jaime Lannister on Game of Thrones.
Also, I want to point out, this has Chadwick Boseman in it, who is the Black Panther.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a start.
That's the only thing I've ever read about this movie is he's one of the gods who can like multiply himself. So there's like he plays like the same character like 100 times in the scene because he's repeating himself. So I just want to put that out there that this has a tie to comic book movies.
Yeah, but I'm surprised that this has an April release. I was expecting this to be February or something like that, just the beginning of the year, just kind of dumping it off. I think it's going to be a bad movie, but there was a trailer that was done in front of one of my Star Wars showings that actually kind of made it look less bad. Like, the trailers have not been selling it very, very well, so it's not going to be good.
I put this in like a Clash of the Titans kind of bracket. Like, it has the potential to be good, but there are probably going to be parts in it that are cringeworthy. Yeah. Like, it's going to be a run-of-the-mill movie. It's going to be okay because it's got Gerard Butler and Jaime Lannister, star power. Coming off 300 and Game of Thrones, still like that era, but like I'm not gonna see this either. You're right.
Yeah. And so we move on to number 2, which is May 20th, and I'm slightly disappointed putting it on my list now after looking who's involved, and I'll get into that, but it's the Angry Birds movie. So Angry Birds is, I would categorize as a very annoying franchise. There's little kids with their punchable faces wearing the stupid shirts, and it's just like it's a marketing craziness. Who would have ever thought we would get an animated summer blockbuster movie around an app on a phone? But there's no reason that it couldn't be good. You can really make anything good with a decent script and good directors, but I'm not looking forward to it. I'm very unanticipated.
So what I find funny about your list here, you have the starring, you have Peter Dinklage, Maya Rudolph, and Bill Hader, right? Two Saturday Night Live people and Peter Dinklage. But they're not even the main characters. The main character is Jason Sudeikis, Josh Gad, and Danny McBride.
I mean, yeah, there's lots of really popular voice talent. So this is weird. So it's got a lot of things going for it. I'm just not looking forward to it. I just don't get excited with the idea of an Angry Birds movie. Maybe I'll end up eating my words. I think if any of these movies on this list are really gonna maybe change my mind, it might be the Angry Birds movie, just because they're fresh-faced directors directing this movie. Clay Cadis and Fergal Riley. They're animators and storyboard artists respectively, and it's kind of like my people. They're creative types that are moving into a bigger directing role. So I want this movie to go well for them. I'd love to see someone from just a supporting development role in Hollywood really move up to be awesome directors. So I'm hoping I'm wrong, but I mean, I saw the trailer for Angry Birds pop up in my Twitter newsfeed while I was taking a shit, and I was just like, this just does not excite me. So hopefully it proves me wrong. I'm gonna be okay if this list isn't 100% at the end of the year.
Yeah, I think of your list, this is the one I think I will probably enjoy, because the writer is John Vitti, who's worked on The Simpsons and The Critic and King of the Hill and The Office, and I think the writer is what's going to sell this movie, because other than that, they don't really have a lot going for Angry Birds. I play the games, I'll admit it, but they did those little cartoon shorts. They had an animated channel where they made cartoon shorts. The characters didn't talk, kind of like they do with Lego video games. Didn't care for those at all. But I think since this is so drastically different from the game, I think that will be the selling point. So I agree. If any of them are to not be on this list, at the end of the year, it gets a high approval rating. I'm glad it's this one.
Yeah, well, let's hope I'm wrong, and it's fun making a podcast when you have points of contention. I'll admit when I'm wrong if it makes for good radio.
Yeah.
But we move on to number 3, which is Alice Through the Looking Glass. It's another movie that I was surprised they were even making a sequel to. I never saw the first one. It didn't interest me too much. It's just one of those weird live-action fairy tale stories. Directed by James Bobbin, who I guess also did The Muppets and The Muppets Most Wanted, which I'm sure hold a special place in your heart. So are you looking forward to this movie?
I do enjoy the first Muppets, but James Bobbin, I think, does not do sequels well.
Yeah.
I think the first movie, though, is the reason this is a sequel is because Alice in Wonderland grossed over $1 billion worldwide.
Oh yeah, so that's it.
It was up there in things. I mean, this was 6 years ago at this point. It's a 2010 film. This is. I remember watching this within 6 months of seeing Avatar, and I just can't believe they've taken so long to come back to it.
Yeah.
And I just didn't care for it the first time.
Yeah, I guess I'm just not a live action fairy tale guy. It's just they just don't interest me, whether they're good or not, whether they make a lot of money or not. This is Mike's least anticipated movies.
I think so. I agree with you. One movie should have been enough because it was a retelling. There was never a sequel animated film for this, and I don't need to know why they need a sequel live action one.
So we'll move on to number 4, which makes me a little nervous, but I think it's going to turn out, I guess, in my favor, which is the Tarzan movie. Now, we've had a trailer for this. It has a very...
another Disney movie.
Yeah, it has another Disney movie type live action feel to it. It looks to be a little bit more action oriented, but I've seen the Tarzan story told in different ways in different types of movies a couple different times. I'm just not very excited to see it. I have a feeling it might do decent Rotten Tomato wise if I'm looking at it from that angle. I could see it maybe going low 70s. It's being directed by David Yates, who's basically done all the chunk of the Harry Potter universe. He's also doing Fantastic Beasts. So I'm also might be making another mistake here putting it on my list, Tarzan, along with Angry Birds. I think they might end up edging out and being decent, but I'm not looking forward to it. All of these movies basically on my list are things I'm not going to rush out to see.
So Samuel L. Jackson is in Tarzan, as well as Christoph Waltz, who we talked about earlier, and Margot Robbie, who's playing Harley Quinn. The only reason I think this is different is because this is not a remake of Tarzan. This is a sequel to Tarzan the cartoon.
See, this is people out there are probably yelling at their audio devices playing our show, but I don't know. This is just me personally. When I hear the announcement of a Tarzan movie, even if you tell me all of these people are going to be in it, I love all of those people that are in it. I
wasn't trying to sell the movie, but I don't by any means want to see Tarzan live action. They've tried this too many times. The monkey doesn't even look like it belongs because it's not Planet of the Apes. Like, I just think like this, it's got a lot of good people in it, but I don't think it's gonna be enough to push it over the top.
Yeah, who knows? Who knows? I want all movies to be good because that means I have nothing but good problems of trying to decide what to watch. But we move into number 5, which was an easy pick because we've talked about this several times. It's probably the first time I think we've put like a real superhero movie on this list is Gambit.
Yep.
We're not even 100% sure if it's going to stay around for 2016 or if it's going to get pushed to 2017. Which honestly, it sounds like you're really right there. I feel like it's going to get pushed to 2017 in that Fantastic Four slot, like you said. But I mean, Channing Tatum, I just still can't imagine him as Gambit in my head. It's just hard to imagine. We haven't heard any good news come out of this film yet. I really don't think we need a standalone Gambit movie at all. I think it's fine to just introduce him into an X-Men movie and we'll be just fine with them. I mean, I guess he held down his own comic book series for a while, but I just don't think the movie's just going to work. I'm not looking forward to seeing it, but honestly, for the show, I'm going to have to see it. So
yeah, well, just like we had to watch Fantastic Four.
Yeah, exactly.
I think Gambit will be pushed. I think you're going to have another one. I think this is the one that's going to get pushed this year because you seem that you're 1 for 1 on getting them pushed next year.
Yeah, exactly.
And that was another October 9th release. That was pushed, so I think that'll be pushed to like maybe that Fantastic Four 2 slot. But yeah, Gambit, just get out of here, out of here.
Yeah, I mean, being directed by Doug Liman, who did Edge of Tomorrow, which is a great movie, but I don't know. I'm not looking forward to it. We'll see. I'm worried, but I'll lay out some honorable mentions too, because that's my list right there. These are basically movies that were just obvious. These didn't really need to take a place. The Divergent series is coming out with another movie. Who gives a shit? There's another Huntsman movie coming out. I don't really care about it. Ride Along 2. I didn't see Ride Along 1. This is just another throwaway comedy movie, just like Get Hard last year. They're making a parody of 50 Shades of Grey with a Wayans brother called 50 Shades of Black. The trailer was really bizarre. It was basically just like the 50 Shades of Grey trailer. There was maybe 2 funny jokes. All the other jokes were really stupid. They weren't smart jokes.
Never are.
I think there's plenty of parody there, but none of the jokes were smart in that trailer. So those are just the honorable mentions of trashy movies I'm not going to see next year, or this year, I guess.
Yeah, that's a smart call.
But let's end the podcast on a high note going into 2016. You have kind of a more of an uplifting list.
I do. So my most anticipated list from Superhero Slate episode number 01 was Kingsman was number 1. And it got a 75% Rotten Tomatoes. We love the movie.
Yeah.
Everyone talks about how good that movie is. I can't believe it. Avengers Age of Ultron got a 74% as well. I think it's better than people give it credit for, especially on rewatching later. I still like Age of Ultron. I don't think it was bad. I'll count that as a win. Mm-hmm. Ant-Man, 80%. My second highest Rotten Tomato percentage on this list. I watched Ant-Man, I think, last night or yesterday. Mm-hmm. I had a better time with it. Much better the second or third time you watch it.
Great.
I think it's more of a fun vibe to it, rather than trying to study it the first time like I did for Marvel Easter eggs. Mm-hmm. Jurassic World, the lowest one on this was 71%, actually one of the biggest box office releases last year.
Yeah, Jurassic World was a big surprise to me. I was going in with very low expectations, and it worked out well for me because I just had a great fun time watching it.
It was wonderful. I think it's the Star Wars is about to pass it, but it was still, I think, number 2 movie of last year. Yeah, like number 4 all time.
It had its moment in the sun.
Yes, it did. And then just like the dinosaurs, it went extinct. No, I'm kidding. Lastly, Star Wars: The Force Awakens sits at a 94%.
Yeah.
I think that is a little high for this movie, in my opinion. But that does mean 94% of the people who went enjoyed the movie.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I think that was definitely a safe bet of putting Star Wars down on your list last year.
Well, I think it was in retrospect, but we had no idea what Star Wars was going to be like going in. We could have had a prequel scenario on our hands.
Yeah, we were hyped though. Man, basically every episode last year was us hyping Star Wars.
Hype. Star Wars cry still retired until we come back to it, but
yeah,
we'll get there. Now, I wanted to make a list of movies that was not just movies I'm looking forward to, but like a list of movie sequels for this year. Mm-hmm. I got 5 movies that have sequels, and the first one I don't think I'm gonna see. Underworld 5.
Okay.
You gonna see Underworld 5?
No, I'd never seen any of the Underworld movies.
Really, none of them.
I mean, I've heard somewhat decent things about the first one, and I thought there was another sequel in there, like maybe 3 that I heard something decent about, but There's too little time in the world to be watching Underworld movies.
It is true. So Resident Evil 1 is good. 2 kind of devolves a little bit. I like vampire movies, but why does every vampire movie have to have fucking werewolves? Get that out of my shit. 3 was a sequel. So see, this is where you get confused. And I didn't watch 4. So screw Underworld 5. But again, the 5 movie rule, the 5th movie of every franchise brings it back. Brings it on back.
We'll see.
Captain America Civil War, X-Men Apocalypse, I'm going to count these as the same because they are the third movies in trilogies that have not had good trilogies yet.
Okay.
Marvel had Iron Man 3. It's not the strongest Iron Man.
No.
You don't like it as much as I do. I hold it above Iron Man 2. A lot of people don't hold it above Iron Man 2. They think it's one of the worst Marvel movies. That's fine. It had a lot to live up to after the Avengers, to say the least. X-Men Apocalypse is the third movie of this new X-Men trilogy, but we had X-Men 3 before, which kind of fucking sucked, to put it nicely. That's a horrible movie, and there's a lot of too many mutants in that. Looks like there could be too many mutants in this. I hope they don't do the same thing. I have high hopes for these superhero trilogies to come out on top rather than below. Mm-hmm. I think Civil War has a very strong chance. A movie nobody asked for or saw was Ouija, the movie based on the Ouija board. Who still plays Ouija boards?
I'm liking this list. This is fun.
So we get Ouija 2 later this year.
Oh man, stoked!
I'm pretty sure it's the same week as Underworld 5. So if you're gonna get sick and avoid the movies, that's the weekend to do it, man. Yeah. Right there. I think it's like October, September.
If you have to fall into a coma, that's the month.
Yeah. Wake back up for later. So Ouija 2 is coming out. I don't know what you're going to do with that. Like, are they going to release a new Ouija board that has even more Ouija powers?
Stronger magnets. I think that's how it works.
Yeah, right? Better liars. That's what we need. But number 4 is a movie I'm curious about. Finding Dory.
Yes, I think curious is a good way to describe it.
Pixar makes good sequels occasionally. They also make
bad
unnecessary sequels occasionally. I like Finding Nemo. It's great, cool, awesome. Finding Dory, I think, is just going to be Ellen talking the whole time because
we'll have to see,
Ellen.
But I mean, thinking back at the movie, Dory really was one of the more entertaining parts about the films. So if we get to see more Dory, and obviously Pixar is going to tug at our heartstrings. It's going to be about Dory's family and her memory and stuff. I'm sure there'll be some sad stuff there, but. I don't know. We'll have to see. I want my WALL-E sequel, and I want my Incredibles sequel.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if we'll get a WALL-E sequel, but Incredibles is coming. But following, I think The Good Dinosaur was the last Pixar movie, I believe. Mm-hmm. I didn't watch it.
Yeah,
didn't care for it.
I've heard kind of things for it.
But I mean, if it's got to be Inside Out's one of the best movies of last year. I hope they can capture that again. Mm-hmm. And lastly, my 5th movie sequel for the year is Jack Reacher. Never Go Back.
Who was asking for this one?
I think this is we're getting another rejuvenation of like middle-aged action stars coming back and wanting to get action movies, because we have Keanu Reeves and John Wick and it's getting a sequel, and we have Tom Cruise and Jack Reacher and it's getting a sequel. So I don't know. I caught Jack Reacher much later after it been released, I think, on Netflix. So I don't know if I'll see this, but Jack Reacher, man.
No, it's not a year in movies. It's not a year in Hollywood unless we get sequels. So,
yeah, it's true. So, I mean, that's it for my movie sequels for this year. Let's Mike, where can they find you at? Because I don't want my computer to die yet again.
So. We'll wrap up this podcast that we've actually managed to make a full episode with the light news. You can follow me at Mike Royer Design on Twitter and Instagram. And as always, you can read my webcomics at pickledcomics.com. What about you, Chris? Let's wrap this up. Where can they follow you? Where can they find you? Where can they see you at these cons that are coming in 2016?
That's right.
Hopefully, maybe you'll be able to sneak out a trip to San Diego.
Well, San Diego's near my wedding. We'll have to cross our fingers on that one. But you can follow me on Twitter at Valdan, VALDAN, and go to comicui.com and Facebook and Twitter too. I guess I put stuff there. But what if they want to listen to us talk about the superhero Slate? Mike, where can they do it?
Man, that's what it's all about. As always, you can visit superheroslate.com. That's where you can find the links of every place that we put the show. If you're ever getting lost and you're too confused Googling things, just go to superheroslate.com. We have the links where we're on iTunes. We're going to be on Google Play soon. We're on YouTube with awesome videos and images. We're on SoundCloud, Stitcher, Tumblr. Subscribe via email. Just get it straight to your inbox and make it simple. You can like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Those are great places to find updates about the show. And if you're a fan of the show, consider going over to iTunes and leaving us a review. That helps us get in front of more faces, into more ears. And if you're a super fan of the show, share it with a friend. You got friends. We know you do. And people love superhero stuff like you do. So
we're your friends, but don't share it with us. We already know about it. Share it with other friends.
We listen to it in real time. We listen to it live.
Yeah. Do we ever? But yeah, so that's a good show. I'm glad we're looking forward to these movies. Next week we'll come back with probably a better list of news and see what's really going on. So
yeah,
that's it.
But it's been a week. 2016 is upon us. It's here. It's a new year. Let's do it.
Yes, we'll see you next week.
All right, bye everybody. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening, and don't forget to subscribe.